Last October, a woman named Danielle was living behind a gas station in Bakersfield, California. 2 kids asleep in the back seat, $43 to her name, and a shelter waitlist 14 weeks long. 6 months later, she and her kids were living in a converted cargo van. Plywood bed, portable stove, curtains on every window, kids enrolled in school. Her total cost for the entire setup? $480. But Danielle isn't an outlier. Across the country right now, hundreds of homeless single mothers are doing the exact same thing, and the survival playbook they've figured out could help anyone who's one emergency away from losing their housing. The biggest misconception about buying a cheap van is that you need to browse used car dealerships. You don't. Dealerships have overhead, commissions, and markups. The mothers who are making this work are shopping in places that are practically invisible to casual buyers. Government surplus auctions are the first gold mine. Cities, counties, and school districts retire fleet vehicles constantly. Old maintenance vans, decommissioned shuttle buses, retired cargo vehicles that have been sitting in municipal lots for months. These vehicles sell at auction for pennies on the dollar because the agencies just want them gone. A full-size cargo van that might list for $3,000 at a dealership can go for $200 to $500 at a government surplus auction, especially if it needs cosmetic work or has high mileage. Facebook Marketplace is the second hunting ground, but timing matters. The trick that experienced van dwellers talk about in forums is searching late at night, between 10 in the evening and 2 in the morning, when sellers who just want something gone are posting desperate listings. A van that sits on Marketplace for more than 2 weeks with no buyers will often drop in price dramatically. And if you message the seller with cash in hand and a willingness to pick up same day, you can negotiate prices down to levels that seem almost fictional. The third option is estate sales and mechanic shop lots. When someone passes away or abandons a vehicle at a shop, that van has to go somewhere. Mechanics will sometimes sell abandoned vehicles for the cost of the unpaid repair bill. $150. That's it. Craigslist free sections and local buy-nothing groups are another avenue. Homeowners with old vans that won't pass emissions testing will sometimes give them away just to clear driveway space. It takes patience and daily checking, but free vans do appear, especially in rural areas where people have more property and less urgency to move old vehicles off their land. But finding a cheap van is only half the equation. Buying the wrong one can cost you everything. And when your budget is under $500, there is zero room for a bad purchase. The women who've been through this process say there are 3 mechanical checks you absolutely cannot skip, even if you know nothing about cars. First, check the transmission fluid. Pull the dipstick while the engine is running. If the fluid is brown or smells burnt, walk away. A transmission replacement costs more than the van is worth. Second, look under the vehicle for rust on the frame. Surface rust on body panels is cosmetic and fixable. Rust that has eaten through the structural frame means the van is a safety hazard. Third, start the engine cold before the seller has had a chance to warm it up. A cold start reveals problems that a warm engine can hide, like rough idling, strange knocking sounds, or exhaust smoke that signals burning oil. If the van passes those 3 tests, you've got something to work with. But the van itself is just a metal shell. What these mothers do with the interior on a budget of $50 to $200 is where the real creativity shows up. Forget the Instagram van life aesthetic with the custom cabinetry and the fairy lights. That's a different universe. The conversions these women are doing use materials from hardware stores, thrift shops, and sometimes just pulled from the side of the road. The foundation of every budget van conversion is a sleeping platform. A single sheet of 3/4-inch plywood from a hardware store costs about $30. Cut it to fit the width of the van's cargo area, set it on top of milk crates or stacked 5-gallon buckets, and you have a raised bed with storage underneath. A foam mattress pad or even folded moving blankets go on the surface, and suddenly you have a sleeping area that's off the cold metal floor. This matters more than people realize. The floor of a metal van acts like a heat sink. In cold weather, sleeping directly on that floor can drop your body temperature dangerously fast. The raised platform creates an air gap that insulates you from the metal, and the space underneath stores clothes, shoes, food supplies, and anything else you need within arm's reach. Storage doesn't require custom woodwork. Milk crates from dollar stores stack securely, slide in and out easily, and hold everything from cooking supplies to toys. Clear plastic bins make it possible to see exactly what's inside without digging. Packing cubes meant for suitcases work perfectly for keeping kids' clothes organized and compressed. And bungee cords strung across the walls of the van hold jackets, towels, and bags in place while driving. Privacy is solved for almost nothing. Tension rods and dark curtains from a thrift store turn a van with windows into a completely private living space. Some mothers use Reflectix insulation, a roll of foil-faced bubble wrap cut to fit each window. It blocks outside view, reflects heat back inside during winter, and reflects sunlight away during summer. A full roll costs about $20 and covers every window in most vans. But privacy and layout are the easy parts. The real challenge of living in a van with children comes down to temperature. And this is where unprepared families run into serious trouble. A van is essentially a metal box. In the summer, it becomes an oven. In the winter, it becomes a freezer. Children lose body heat significantly faster than adults due to their smaller body mass. So staying warm is not just about comfort. It is about safety. Cotton blankets, which are what people tend to grab first, are actually one of the worst options for van living. Cotton absorbs moisture from your body and from condensation inside the van, and wet cotton pulls heat away from your skin instead of keeping it in. Experienced van dwellers figured this out fast and switched to synthetic sleeping bags, or for those on the absolute tightest budgets, emergency thermal bivvies. One product that keeps coming up in van life forums and survival communities is the TerraShell. It is a heavy-duty thermal sleeping bag made from thick reflective material that bounces most of your body heat back to you. Unlike the cheap foil emergency blankets from the dollar store that rip the second you unfold them, these actually hold up. They fold down small enough for a backpack pocket. They do not need batteries, and for mothers sleeping in vans during cold months, a couple of these can be the difference between a safe night and a dangerous one. I will leave a link in the description. Under $20 per bag. Beyond thermal protection, insulation is the other side of the temperature equation. Experienced van dwellers insulate the walls and ceiling of their vans using recycled denim insulation, which you can sometimes find for free from construction site dumpsters or the Reflectix foil rolls mentioned earlier. Even cardboard taped to the inside walls provides a surprising amount of insulation compared to bare metal. The goal is to trap enough of your own body heat to keep the interior livable through the night. But a bed and curtains and insulation only get you through the first night. What separates the mothers who make this work for months from the ones who give up after a week comes down to 3 systems. Power is the first concern, and the advice from mothers who've been doing this for a year or more is unanimous. Do not start with solar panels. Solar setups are expensive, complicated to install, and unnecessary when you're just getting started. Instead, start with a 12-volt car power inverter that plugs into your cigarette lighter. These cost between $15 and $30 and let you charge phones, tablets, and small devices while the engine is running. A portable battery pack, the kind you'd use for camping, holds enough charge to keep a phone alive for multiple days between drives. You can pick up a used one for under $20. If and when you can afford to upgrade, a small portable power station is the next step. These are essentially large, rechargeable batteries that charge while you drive and power small appliances, LED lights, and fans. But for the first few months of van living, a car inverter and a portable battery bank are more than enough. Water is simpler than people expect. The most basic system uses 2 5-gallon water jugs from a hardware store, one for clean water and one for gray water. Total cost is under $15. You fill the clean water jug at gas stations, public parks, churches, and gym water fountains. Some mothers carry a small hand pump water filter for extra safety, which adds maybe another $20, but gives peace of mind about water quality. Cooking for a family in a van comes down to one tool: a single-burner portable propane stove. These run on the small green propane canisters you can buy at any Walmart or outdoor store. A basic stove costs around $20, and each propane canister lasts roughly 3 to 4 hours of cooking time. You cook outside the van on a flat surface, whether that's a picnic table, the back bumper, or a folding camp table. Rice, beans, pasta, canned soups, oatmeal, and peanut butter sandwiches become the staples. Not glamorous, but it keeps kids fed, and the cost of eating this way is significantly less than eating out or relying on fast food. And speaking of feeding kids, there's a resource angle that many van-dwelling mothers say saved them. Food banks across the country do not require a permanent address to access their services. Neither do most free school meal programs. If your children are enrolled in a public school, they qualify for free breakfast and lunch, regardless of your housing situation. And the McKinney-Vento Act, which is a federal law that specifically protects homeless students, requires schools to enroll children, even if they can't provide a traditional home address or proof of residency. Knowing that law exists has been the difference between kids staying in school and kids falling through the cracks. But none of the budgeting, or the building, or the meal planning matters if a mother doesn't feel safe parking that van overnight. And safety is where the real fear lives. The first rule of van dwelling with kids, according to mothers who do it, is stealth. You do not want to draw attention to the fact that someone is living inside that vehicle. This means no lights visible from outside after dark, no cooking near the van where people can see you, and parking in places where a van sitting overnight looks normal. Walmart parking lots are the most commonly cited overnight spot because many Walmart locations explicitly allow overnight parking. Truck stops are another reliable option. Rest areas along highways are legal for overnight stays in many states, though the rules vary. Some mothers rotate between church parking lots during the week, where a van parked overnight is rarely questioned, and move to more public spots on weekends. The biggest safety strategy that van-dwelling mothers have adopted is the buddy system. Online communities, particularly Facebook groups and Reddit forums dedicated to vehicle-dwelling families, have created informal networks where mothers in the same region check in with each other nightly. They share GPS locations, parking spot recommendations, and safety alerts. Some of these groups have grown to thousands of members and operate like mutual aid organizations, sharing everything from free campsite lists to tips on which cities have the most van-friendly parking enforcement. Gym memberships solve the hygiene challenge. A basic membership at a national gym chain costs between $10 and $25 a month and provides daily access to showers, restrooms, and climate-controlled space. For mothers with young children, some gyms also have supervised childcare areas, which gives them a brief window to shower, change, and reset without worrying about their kids. Planet Fitness, in particular, has become something of an unofficial hub for the van-dwelling community because of its low cost and 24-hour access. Some locations even have laundry services nearby, and the lobby area provides a warm place to sit with kids during extreme weather while you figure out the next move. Libraries serve a similar function during daytime hours, offering free Wi-Fi, charging outlets, air conditioning in summer, and heat in winter, all without requiring any kind of membership or proof of address. And then there's the question that always comes up. What about the kids? Are they okay? The answer depends entirely on the mother, the resources available, and the community support around them. Studies on family homelessness consistently show that the stability of a primary caregiver is the single largest factor in how children weather housing instability. A mother who has a plan, who keeps her children enrolled in school, who maintains routines around meals and bedtime, and who connects with local services can provide a level of stability from a van that many overcrowded, underfunded shelters simply cannot match. And that's a reflection of how broken the shelter system is for families, not a romanticization of van life. Over 84% of homeless families in the United States are headed by single women. Many shelters don't accept families with older boys. Others have curfews so early that working mothers can't hold evening jobs. Some have wait lists that stretch months into the future while families sleep in cars in the parking lot, waiting for a spot to open up. A van, for all its limitations, gives a mother something a shelter waitlist does not: immediate control over her family's environment. She decides where to park. She decides what her children eat. She decides when the lights go off. And that sense of agency, that feeling of being in charge of something even when everything else has fallen apart, is something that research on homeless mothers consistently identifies as a critical factor in long-term recovery. None of this is easy. Nobody is choosing a cargo van in a Walmart parking lot over a 3-bedroom apartment. But for the mothers who are doing this right now, the van is a bridge, a temporary, imperfect, sometimes freezing cold bridge between where they are and where they're going. Danielle, the mother from Bakersfield, who started this story living behind a gas station, she stayed in her converted cargo van for 11 months. During that time, she held a part-time warehouse job, kept both kids in school with perfect attendance, and saved enough money to put down a deposit on a small rental apartment. She told an online forum that the hardest part wasn't the cold or the cooking or the parking. It was the feeling that she was failing her kids. But when her daughter made honor roll that spring, sleeping in a van she helped her mother build, Danielle realized failure wasn't the word for what they'd done. The van is now parked at a friend's property. She keeps it maintained and stocked, just in case. Because once you've been through it, you never stop preparing for the possibility that you might need to do it again. If you know someone who needs to hear this, share it with them. And if this video opened your eyes to something you did not know about, click the video on screen right now. It covers another survival strategy that people living on the edge of the system are using to stay one step ahead.